Hey, if you find yourself sometimes working crazy hard, not making enough money, then you're going to love this interview I've just done with a wonderful lady called Elnize. She was in exactly that position just a few short years ago, working hard, not making money. She made some big changes to her pricing. And in the interview, she shares exactly what she did, how she did it, and the amazing results that she got. So let's go and catch up with Elnize on that interview. So Elnize, it's wonderful to have you on for this interview, and I can't wait to hear your story, and particularly because you come from a place I've not been to yet, which is South Africa. So it's on my list. I will get there. So just by way of background, so people know a bit more about you, could you just start with a bit about where you're based, which I know it's South Africa, I've given that one away now, but how long you've been in business, what do you do, how big is the firm, just a few bits of background.
Perfect. Well, you definitely have to come and visit Africa. You might lose a bit of your heart here. Africa creeps into your soul, so you might never want to keep on returning if you do visit. My name is Elnize Goosen. My firm is DGE Chartered Accountants and Registered Auditors. So yes, I'm based in South Africa in Centurion, Pretoria. And we are a fully virtual cloud-based firm. I'm a chartered accountant, I'm an auditor as well, and we have a bit of a more progressive structure in the sense that we decided from the start not to have any staff members, not to have formal structures like that. The reason why we started it like that was previously I used to be in corporate environment, and not only did my soul die a little bit doing the same thing day in, day out, but also then this firm that I was working for, they merged with another firm, and they had a finance department already. So the finance people were declared redundant, and there I was about 6 or 7 months pregnant with Emma at that stage, and I was declared redundant and I lost my job, and it was a shock. But ever since a while back before that, my husband Daniel had been nagging at me to start my own thing, and let's bring our whole enterprise home. He's working from home, I'm working from home, and that was then the perfect opportunity, a shove, to start my own firm then. And my husband and I work together. We have been practicing since 2016-ish, and we've grown in leaps and bounds. I was amazed at how quickly you would grow based on pretty much word of mouth or small advertisings, and we did grow massively. So we center everything around our family. We're very family driven, and everything we do for our family. And that's the reason why I want this virtual firm, is so that I can take off and go sit on the beach and take a laptop. With a phone and a laptop is all you need. And the finance function is so versatile, it lends you to having that perfectly cloud-based system. And then COVID struck, and we weren't really thrown off by the fact that you have to do everything at home, you have to do everything virtually, your children are at home. Nothing like that actually disrupted our lives a lot. So we've been perfectly set up for this disaster period as well. But that's not the main reason. We want to focus everything around our family and focus on family time. Work comes second. So that's our main principle.
Awesome. It sounds like you've got a great little business there, and I can relate to elements of that because, like you, mine's a virtual business. It's a family business, and as you know, it's me, Sarah. It's Sarah's daughter Emily. It's my daughter Gabby, and I like it that way. My previous business was 30 odd people at one point, and it wasn't as much fun. So when you talk about corporate structure, yeah, I can absolutely relate. So you started your firm as a result of redundancy, and I'm not sure exactly how many years we've been working together now, how long you've been in the academy. I think it's 2 or 3 years, I think.
Since 2019, February.
Yeah.
February 2019.
Okay, that's what I thought. Getting on for 3 years then. Okay,
Yes.
so thinking back to those times, what was the reason that made you join the academy? What were some of the challenges that you were facing?
The biggest issue when I started my firm was I didn't know how much to charge people. That was a massive issue. No one gives you guidelines. The industry don't have norms or regulations. Everyone prices differently. So how do you suddenly doing your own thing know how to price? It was a massive issue for me. So at a point where I just did everything the way I thought it should be done, charging by the hour, asking the client what their budget is, or asking the financial statements and looking to see what the previous accountants charged. And I would either match that or reduce that fee, or at most increase it by 10%, which was so crazy to now that you think about it, how much you've lost out by doing it that way. And that was when I came across one of your posts in Facebook, and I pretty much immediately signed up for the Value Pricing Academy because it was just exactly what I was looking for, pricing for accounting firms. And that, so other problems that I also had in my firm was I was accepting every single client because you don't earn much from them. People have this stigma about accounting fees that need to be very low priced. And I just accepted more and more clients. If they're a good fit for you or not, I never thought that you could actually fire a client. That was something that was new to me. And I literally, even if they're not a good fit for me personally or for my firm, I accepted everyone. And the problem that also then accumulated from that was the fact that you had issues around the scope of work. You never actually clarified what your scope was. You just did everything for everyone. No niche, no structure, no pricing systems, nothing. So I ended up with massive bad debts, really massive, to the tune of $30,000. It was really big. The bulk of it was that you would accept a new client and you would price them for accounting or bookkeeping work, and then they have cleanup work and you never price them for that cleanup work, so you end up writing that off. I had massive write-offs for cleanup work, and then also only invoicing the client at the end of the work that was done based on the hours that you spend, and suddenly they fall off their chair and it's so much, and then they just don't pay you. So massive bad debts, even court cases. I'm still in a court case with a previous client that has been dragging on for 4 years. So also something that flows in together with that is horrible communication with the clients. That was something I was terrible at. It sprouts from the fact that I kind of assumed that people in business have some idea about accounting. They know what it entails. They know everything that needs to be done. They know what you do for them. So you don't have to discuss it with them. I kind of almost felt as if I was patronizing someone if I explained what I was doing to them, because they are adults, they have businesses, so they obviously know what you are talking about. But that was so wrong. People don't know what you do for them. They have no idea how much work it entails. They have no idea how long it will take or how much effort it will cost you. So not only did I leave the clients confused, actually, because you're not being assertive, you're not telling them this and this and this is what I need from you, this and this and this is what I'm going to do for you. You leave them confused, and also then obviously they don't understand your value, the value that you bring to their business. So that was the biggest issues I had, ultimately working way too hard for way too little pay.
And a lot of that brings back memories of my first 3 years running my firm in the 1990s. I made all those mistakes, and bad debts was a seriously big one. I wrote off so much time every single year, and given that my margins were so bad because I was pricing so low, that was most of my profit I was writing off.
Exactly.
It's crazy what we do. So Elnize, when you then joined the academy, what were the steps that you did? What did you do first?
First, the basic, I just use that 7-step framework that you give as a basic gold thread that you pull through every single session about. Firstly, I went from hourly billing to fixed pricing. Immediately implemented menu pricing, giving the clients choice, making them feel they're in control, giving them options. Also then definitely communicating that value better, because even though I had my pretty menu pricing, and now you have a proposal that's 7 pages long because you have all these features that you set out, and instead of only a 1-pager with a quote that they immediately feel as it's too much, because you give that single price and it will always be too much. But then actually describing what those features were, explaining the benefits that it would have to their company or their business. That was massive, a massive change for me. It was communicating the value. And then also I implemented a paid diagnostic review, firstly to eliminate those clients that you don't want, or it's a first level of elimination of the clients that if they're not willing to pay for a paid diagnostic, then they won't be willing to pay the prices that you are going to charge. And also then to get a better idea of the scope, asking those critical questions, drilling down as far as possible to uncover what the scope is, what their problems are, what their pain points are. So I implemented those things. And then also on the menu price, that something that couples with the menu pricing is setting out different payment terms for different services, chunking everything down into even if it's a one-off project, or if it's an annual project, then you chunk it down into those menu monthly payments. That definitely that is massively successful and effective. But mostly I love all the price psychology elements that you teach us. I can eat that up, because different things like anchoring, creating a different or even an unrelated price to secure their minds and to focus them on a higher price so that your price seems lower, or price precision so that you don't just ask a round figure which they will deny or negotiate with immediately. Price placement on the proposal, or the order in which you show your different modules or different packages. Those little things, the left digit management and the power of 9, all those price psychology items I systematically implemented, and it is massively effective. Then also I categorized my clients, ABCD clients, and I did a massive purge of the clients. Definitely this year has been a massive purge year, where I reduced my client base by pretty much half. So that was a very big deal, because now you open up more time for you to actually focus on discovering issues with your current clients that you love to work with, that you can help them with and uncover more value for them. So those are the basic lots more, but those are pretty much the main guys. I focused a lot on those 7 basic principles, and having that value conversation. That was very important for me to learn to communicate. And I'm still not there yet, but getting there. So definitely those principles are gold.
Yeah, wow. Sounds like you've done a huge amount of stuff, implemented a lot of things. And the key thing that comes across over and over is that it's the communication, that you've changed the way that you communicate value, communicate the prices with the psychology, and that seems to have made a big difference.
Yes, definitely.
So if you think about where your firm is today compared with when you joined the academy and the challenges, How is it different? I mean, you've mentioned, for example, that you're having a purge of clients. So what's the client base like now, and the and some numbers and so
Some
on?
numbers. Wow. So definitely I reduced my client base by pretty much half. But by implementing those very valuable principles, I have increased my prices by at least 30%, and at most up to 200% that I increased my prices with. And so essentially, you're doing less work. So, what I did was I took the core services that I was providing anyway, and I put those guys into my full package, my middle package, and then, but my price that I used to charge before, added with about 30% at least, I put that as the essential price. So the essential package would be priced higher and less work. And then your middle package, which most people pick anyway, that would be at a much higher price, but doing the same amount of work than you did before. So definitely increase those prices, the up to 200% for the higher packages, and that opened up so much more time for me and my family, which was the whole reason why I started this in the first place. So just to give you some examples, I have this one client that they do interior decorating. They have blinds and curtains and things like that. So previously, I used to charge them about, or I would have charged them about $170 per month, But now, with just implementing basics, not even the more complex things, I've increased them to about $720 per month. I'm using dollar terms. Obviously, I'm doing it in rand, but just for consistency, yeah. So that is already a massive increase, and I'm doing less work for them as well. I'm providing training videos and things so that the client does a lot of the bookkeeping themselves, and I just focus on the more high level stuff. So another example is a corporate hygiene client that I have as well. And previously, I would have charged something to the extent of 2,000, 2,100 per year, for doing their entire finance function. And I've increased that to about 3,700, which is much more, not yet fantastic, but much more than I previously would have. And I've also applied those principles to my one-off projects and my annual things. I've had a massive tax cleanup situation where the client was we had a share buy-in, and we had to convert all these companies and make sure that this whole structure worked best tax-wise, and it was very complex and advanced tax planning on my side. But I managed to use those value pricing principles and to take the client through what would their tax saving be if I do this work for them, which was massive. I can't remember the exact amount, but I ended up asking about $20,000 for that project, for just doing that tax planning. So I've really seen massive results per client, but then to overall as a business as well. And I know that's your next question will be, as a whole, how much did my business move or progress? And I can tell you pretty much for over 2021 only, we've added about $90,000 worth of revenue this year. So that's pretty big. I still aim for more, but that's pretty massive for us from where we were when I started my firm up to now. We have increased our revenue with 280%. That is so mind-bogglingly massive. It is ridiculous. Then you can imagine where we started. It was nothing. We did it for scraps, or I did it for scraps. So, and that's it. Halving my client base, getting these results, it really puts the focus back to where it's supposed to be, being my family, being here for my husband and my children.
Extraordinary journey over the last few years, and reducing your clients by 50%. I think you said you've increased the prices by anywhere between 50 and 200%. So when you started that process of repricing your clients, was that scary? Were you apprehensive about the reaction you would get? Were you worried about how many clients you would lose, or was that kind of intentional that you really wanted to lose half of them?
Originally, I didn't do the client repricing yet. I only did it with new clients. But then, as I did your training, for instance, you kind of set your mind at ease that even if you are going to lose those clients, it's fine. Those are your D class clients that you don't like working with anyway. I had this one massively horrible client that during COVID times, with all the COVID relief measures and things, we did the application for them for free, and it was we thought we'd extend a hand and help them for free. It ended up being such a massive job that if I'd known that before, I would have definitely charged them a lot more for it. And they ended up blaming us when the government didn't pay out in time. So it was yelling and screaming and threatening to sue us and threatening to smear our name over Facebook and things like that. It was, and also not only did she yell at me, she also yelled at my bookkeepers and my contacts that are in my network that assisted me with this. So it was very embarrassing, and I literally put my foot down. You're out of here. Sorry for you. I do not work with people like that. And but then for the other clients that are not that extreme, it is daunting to lose clients. You immediately feel, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and maybe I should just keep them on for a little bit longer. But if you then go and look at the numbers afterwards, then you realize, okay, but actually this was a good thing. Actually, even though I didn't mind working with these people, they were always late, and they were always late paying that. So actually, good riddance. And you actually took a hand through that process and said, okay, but remember, you are most probably going to lose clients, but aim for that, because then you can. Now I'm in a position where I'm at a reduced client base, but with so much more revenue, and that opens time, firstly for my family, but secondly, as I mentioned, to go and uncover value for those existing clients that I love working with.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, you've partly answered it now. You've got half the number of clients roughly. How's the relationship
Mm.
with the clients, the sort of work you do now, the relationship, how does that differ from 3 years ago?
Oh, it's massive. Of that client base that I have left, I pretty much love working with about 80% of them. There's still a few weeds to get rid of, but mostly I love working with them. I have this great relationship with them. They value me better. They understand what I do and what I provide to them. They come to me for advice where they would have normally. Some people would say, "Oh, I didn't realize you do that service as well." Now these people understand that anything finance and business related, they can come to me for that advice, and I can guide them in a right direction. Or if I'm too busy at that point, then I can divert it to my network of bookkeepers and other people that are valuable, like the I'm forgetting the word now. What's the financial advisors, those kind of people that you can direct them to. So the relationship is much better with the people that I do. Not perfect, obviously. There are still a lot of people that you struggle a bit with, and that you still have to nag, or you have to hold their hand. But most of my clients are, I love working. Pretty much the bulk of my client base lies in my A class clients at this moment, which is, I never would have thought about that if it wasn't for simple processes that you teach us, and just to change the way that you think. This is not something you learn in during your studies. They should put value pricing as a subject in accounting studies, definitely, because just these principles, and also other outside of the value pricing principles as well, the marketing that you teach us, or the online live academy that you do, or the business advisory training, all those things that you implement at least little bit by little bit. You can't do it all. It's overwhelming, and you just have to decide where you can implement a few things. But it makes a massive change to the way you feel about your clients, the way you feel about your business. You don't dread waking up to do a file. You actually love what you do.
Wow. Awesome, and you've achieved so much in what's still a relatively short space of time. So my final question for you, Elnize, just before we end this, if you could share 3 tips with people, what would they be?
Well, firstly, for me, it's deciding what is best for your family or for yourself and for your business, and structure everything around that. Because if
Perfect.
you lose sight of that main goal, then you're going to lose yourself very quickly in the detail of the work. So if you lose sight of that, which is important to you, and I still do often, more often than I want, then it's not going to work. Then it's not. What's the point of doing this? Then you're just earning money. It's not something that you're passionate about any longer. You don't apply yourself. You don't want to help anyone. You're just surviving. So maintain your center goal. For me, it's my family. I want to take off a random Tuesday and go to wherever, the zoo with my children, because that's the way I've structured my whole practice. Then communication, communicating the value to your clients. That's for me, that was the main no-brainer. Ultimate change in my practice was actually just communicating, and the wording you give, the way you phrase things are it's so brilliant that it's fantastic that we can use those wording, because it often helps us with the script to communicate this to the clients, your brochures and things. So at least those steps that you give us to help us communicate the value, those are gold. And it really, that was something that I needed to change massively, and I still need to focus on it. I still need to improve as well. And then don't be afraid to lose your clients. If you are losing them, it's fine, because if you lose those clients, you were better off anyway. You have more time, you have more money, but half the clients. So definitely don't be afraid to lose those clients.
Awesome. So many great tips there, Elnize, and I've been fascinated learning more about your journey, and particularly the fact that the way it started was so similar to the way that I started. We make those
Exactly.
mistakes. Uh, thank you so much for sharing,
Of
and I look
course.
forward to seeing how your journey goes. Bye,
Thank you for
bye,
having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
bye for now.
Bye.